Huge news in the NHL today for Ottawa Senators fans. Sanders season is officially underway as Jake Sanderson signs an 8-year extension with the Ottawa Senators, just above $8 million per season. Going through Twitter, there it is. Jake is staying. Personally, I'm an Ottawa Senators fan. I think Jake Sanderson is already the best defenseman on the Ottawa Senators, but here it is, 8 years for 8.05 mil per season, average annual value, and just taking a look, everyone's excited. Look at the ears on the guy. He can hear anything from across the world. He could probably hear this video from where he's sitting right now. Here's another interesting stat. Defensemen with similar contracts to Jake Sanderson. And if you don't follow Big Head Hockey on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing. They're great. They're hilarious. So we got Mikhail Sergachev, Thomas Chabot, fellow Ottawa Senator, Miro Heiskanen, Morgan Riley, Brent Burns, John Carlson, Jacob Trouba, Jarrett Spurgeon, and Aaron Ekblad. How many of these guys is Jake going to be better at throughout the contract, if I can read properly? Here's a little bit more of his WAR percentage. So 87%, time on ice, second pairing, lefty, 21 years old, good on the power play, good defensively, good on the good offensively. Penalty kill, not the greatest. Finishing, not the greatest yet, but he's still a young guy. Penalty, 99%. Teammate, 85%. And then competition, 90%. But yeah, Jake Sanderson, a rocket goal there. I'd probably watch this all. I love Sanderson. That's all I'm going to say. I just love Sanderson. Look at that. Connor McDavid trying to keep up with the GOAT, Jake Sanderson. 8-year extension, though. But going back up to this. So realistically, over the next 8 years, will he be better than Sergachev? I honestly think he can be. Thomas Chabot, I think Jake Sanderson's already a better all-around defender than Thomas Chabot. People are going to crucify me for saying that, but I think Jake Sanderson's a little bit more reliable. As of right now, Chabot is probably the better skater, and Chabot is better offensively, but defensively, I think Jake Sanderson's actually a little bit better, especially on his breakout passing and his reliability. Miro Heiskanen, I think, will still be better than Sanderson, or it's going to be close, I think, in 8 years for sure. I mean, Morgan Riley's not going to be anywhere close to Jake Sanderson. I think Morgan Riley's a better offensive defenseman again than Sanderson, but again, defensively, not that big of a gap. Brent Burns, obviously really old compared to Sanderson, a little bit not fair comparison there. John Carlson, I think, is one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL. He should have won at least 2 Norrises by now. He probably also should have won the Conn Smythe when they won the Stanley Cup, but I understand you got to give that to Ovi. Trouba, Sanderson's probably more efficient than Trouba now. Jarrett Spurgeon, probably same thing. Spurgeon's probably actually a little bit better. Not Minnesota Wild captain for no reason. And Aaron Ekblad, I would think, is very similar to Jake Sanderson as well. I'm obviously rating Jake Sanderson high, but if you're not an Ottawa Senators fan and you haven't seen Jake Sanderson play, I get it. You might think that this is an overpay, but if you're a Sens fan or if you watch Jake Sanderson play consistently, the breakout passing, the decision making, the youth, he's a big body. By big body, he's like 6'1", like tall and lengthy, but he can make a great pass, great shot, just all around beauty. So if you look at it now, the top 4 of the Ottawa Senators in any order really is going to be Jake Sanderson, Thomas Chabot, you got Jacob Chychrun, and then finally Artem Zub in your top 4. And there's still tons of young players coming up for the Ottawa Senators defensively. So this is going to be, as a Sens fan, I'm excited. But let's dig a little bit more into the contract here. So the one thing I have to worry about the Ottawa Senators is they've signed a lot of big contracts as of recent. As of right now, their current cap space is just under $900,000. So that's not very good. But you could see all the players signed for $8 to $6+ million. Giroux's $6+ million going into the next 2 seasons. You got Tkachuk 8.2, Stützle 8.3, which I think is a great contract for both of those players. We got Chabot at $8 million, so we might have to figure out what to do with Chabot. I think if at only 26, you can't really complain. You got Chychrun, who's going to need a contract in 2 years. Zub is getting paid 4.6. Brandstrom needs a contract next year. Hamnick's on a nice friendly deal. Jacob Bernard Docker's on a nice friendly deal. And then obviously Josh Norris, 7.95. Anton Forsberg, just under 3 mil. Korpisalo, 4 mil for the next couple years. So the Ottawa Senators are paying out a lot of players, and they still have to sign players like Tyler Boucher in a couple of years, Ridley Gregg in a couple of years. You're going to need a re-sign who hasn't been done yet. Shane Pinto, He's a restricted free agent. So that's going to be another couple bucks there. Igor Sokolov's going to need a contract extension. So the Ottawa Senators are going to have to make some moves here to ensure that we can actually afford these contracts. It's good that we got Tarasenko for just the 1 year at $5 million. Don't have any value towards him in the later stage. I think it's going to be a rental for sure. But what other players do we have to look at signing here? Tyler Klevin is going to be worth a couple bucks in 2025. So we got to make room for him. Lassie Thompson, another one. So there's a lot of moves that the Ottawa Senators still got to make. Mad Sogard probably going to get a contract soon. Same with Levy Merklanian. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but apparently he's pretty good. So that's going to be interesting right there. The Ottawa Senators might get into some cap troubles just like the Toronto Maple Leafs and all these other super teams. Do I think the Ottawa Senators super team? Not yet. I hope they do become one. But in 2024, look at that, 2 first-round picks. So, it's still building. But let's go take a look at Jake Sanderson's stats. So obviously the entry-level deal coming to an end this year, $9.25 million, and then $8.050 million per season. So it's consistent across all 8 years. It's not front loaded, not back loaded. Surprised not to see it back loaded or front loaded, but I think he's going to be worth it. I am 100% on board with this trade. And then, or not this trade, with this signing. And looking at his stats here, last year, 77 games played, 4 goals, 28 assists, 32 points, a -6 on a team that didn't make the playoffs and that he did play a lot of minutes. Towards the end of the season, Sanderson was playing north of 25 minutes each game. So he's definitely playing a lot, over a point per game in University of Dakota in his draft season. And then in the year before, 25. So, or 15 and 22. I don't know where I got 25, made that up, but that's completely okay. So looking back at the 2020 draft, the Ottawa Senators drafted number 3, Tim Stützle, who's at $8.35 million, and then number 5, Jake Sanderson, who's at $8 million now. So looking back at the 2020 draft, does that mean that Stützle and Sanderson are the 2 best players to come out of that draft? Let me know what you think down in the comments below of the contract. I love it. I love it all day. Sanders season is here upon us, and he's going to lead us to the promised land. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. As always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.